Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So in today's video, I would just like to talk about musicals, just briefly, just one particular period and one particular performer. But when it comes to musicals, what's the musical that really springs to mind? Most probably, for most people, it's going to be this one, Singin In The Rain from 1952 and starring Gene Kelly. A lot of people can think of this musical, can think of the songs that are in it and just how entertaining this was. And remember that this was telling a story based on the transition to sound in Hollywood and the advent of musicals. So what does that mean? So when we go back to 1929, we have the Oscar-winning film Broadway Melody. And in that film, it featured the song You Were Meant For Me. And then also in 1929, there was the Hollywood Review of 1929, and that featured the song Singin In The Rain, sung on ukulele for the first time. Now, it would seem the Broadway Melody of 1929 perhaps isn't held in high regard nowadays. It's one of the lowest rated Oscar-winning movies of all time, and it was seen as being quite static in terms of how it filmed its shots, and obviously it did have the difficulties of just transitioning into the sound era. But things changed when the Broadway Melody films carried on in 1936, and we then had this period of 4 films that starred Eleanor Powell. So we had Broadway Melody of 1936, Broadway Melody of 1938, and Broadway Melody of 1940. And then also in 1936, Eleanor Powell starred in a movie called Born to Dance. Now remember, gotta dance from Singin In The Rain. Sorry about that, but yeah, that first comes from Broadway Melody of 1936, and it was sung by Frances Langford doing Broadway rhythm. But the film itself features Eleanor Powell in the main role alongside Robert Taylor, and then a nice supporting cast that includes June Knight, and Buddy Ebsen. And Buddy Ebsen went on to play Jed Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies. But amazingly, in 1936, he was this lanky, tall singer and tap dancer, and he has a very loose and flexible dancing style, and it's really fun to watch. He does a really wonderful dance number on a rooftop with Eleanor Powell, where there is a steaming coffee pot that moves in rhythm to their song and dance, and it's a really just charming thing to watch. The film also includes the song You Are My Lucky Star, so that's a very famous one. And then there's also this really charming number called I've Got a Feeling You're a Foolin', which does also appear in Singin In The Rain. This one is sung by Robert Taylor to June Knight. And it's a really just lovely, lovely number because the song is performed on this multi-level set. So we've got the floor that they appear on, but every now and again something will pop up from underground. So we get a whole piano that suddenly appears, and then we get a table and chairs that appear, and then the table itself will spin over to reveal plates and glasses, and it's just a really, really wonderful moment. And then at the end of the song, there's this performer, Nick Long Jr., who suddenly does this incredible leapfrog over a whole load of showgirls, and it's just a wonderful sight. But absolutely, it is Eleanor Powell who is worth watching here. Her dancing style is incredible. Her tap dancing is absolutely incredible, and the way that she can kick her legs and pirouette and jeté and all of that kind of thing is just marvelous to see. Now, sticking with 1936 just for a moment, but not a Broadway Melody film, but I'll just touch upon it, the film Born to Dance. So this is another one that headlines Eleanor Powell as the star of this, but interestingly, it also features James Stewart. So yes, James Stewart doing song and dance, a very rare occasion for him. Now, I must admit I found this quite an awkward film. The songs here are for the first time for MGM being done by Cole Porter, and the most famous song, I guess, that is included in the film is I've Got You Under My Skin, but it's performed by Virginia Bruce to James Stewart in really quite a high-pitched vocal, and I found it quite horrible to listen to, I must admit. James Stewart himself handles himself capably in the film, but he is miscast. He is not a great singer, although he does handle the couple of songs that he has to sing okay. But again, there's just not really the chemistry between him and Eleanor Powell. It's quite awkward. So Eleanor Powell is not used to her best effect in this film. So most of the time, if there's a song or dance number, the cast around her are not able to really match her, and she has to sort of slow down her movements to kind of fit in with the musical numbers, and it all just feels a bit rough and not particularly well designed choreography. Some of the same cast from the Broadway Melody film, so including Buddy Ebsen and Una Merkel and Frances Langford, they also appear in Born to Dance, but again, everything just feels a little bit goofy. So Buddy Ebsen's dancing here is a little bit more goofy, and Frances Langford, just the songs that she has to sing here just don't really suit her too well. So yeah, this one, it's a pleasant film for sure, but just none of it really worked properly for me. But the film does culminate in a pretty impressive dance number that starts with Frances Langford singing Swingin' the Jinx Away, and then, as you can see from this still here, it ends with Eleanor Powell doing a pretty impressive tap dance number in front of this ship that's been put on the stage, and she finishes with a salute and these guns blazing. But yeah, overall it just does feel a little bit awkward, Born to Dance, and just not quite right. But luckily things improve quite a bit when we get to 1938 and the Broadway Melody of 1938. And this is a great vehicle for Eleanor Powell, and just not quite as lavish in style, I suppose, as the Broadway Melody of 1936, but it does have some really charming numbers. The best sequence involves Eleanor Powell doing an incredible dance number in the rain that ends with her falling into a huge puddle. It's a really, really terrific dance sequence. And this film also introduced us to Judy Garland. She's only 15 in this film, and it was a year before she did The Wizard of Oz. But yeah, she gets to do a couple of dance numbers. She does a dance number with Buddy Ebsen, again, which is a really nice one to see. And she also sings the song You Made Me Love You to a photograph of Clark Gable, and that's a really nice one. But yeah, definitely, once again, it's Eleanor Powell who really gets to shine with her incredible tap dancing and spinning style of dancing. She really is amazing to watch. So yeah, Broadway Melody of 1938 is another great vehicle for her. And this photo here just gives you an example of just how big the stages were when they performed some of these dance numbers. And this is a magnificent finale that Eleanor Powell gets to do. But just look at the size of that glorious set. It really is quite fantastic. But perhaps the best was yet to come when we get to Broadway Melody of 1940, and this one co-stars Fred Astaire, so really incredible combination. His tap dancing, Eleanor Powell's tap dancing, they are perfectly matched in this, and wow, it is just incredible to watch them. Now the film does feature this incredible finale that is to Cole Porter's Begin the Begin, and it's split kind of into two parts. There's one part of the dance where they're dressed in black and white, like sort of Spanish ballroom toreador kind of style, before they then switch to just wearing white costumes. The set that they use for the Begin the Begin finale is just incredible. It's a huge stage that involved 6,500 square foot of glass flooring to do reflection. It also involved 30-foot high mirrors and 25-foot high palm trees. This picture really doesn't do it justice at all, but that just gives you a little bit of the flavor. So yeah, this incredible reflective flooring, and then you can see the mirrors in the background there. So when they get to perform their dance number on this, and you've got all this reflection going on, the mirrors sequence, as well as the background dancers as well, and there's this ramp that they can kind of glide down at one point as well. Wow, it's just so beautiful to watch, and just incredible. So yeah, Broadway Melody of 1940 perhaps is the most significantly remembered film out of all of the Broadway Melody films because of that great pairing between Eleanor Powell and Fred Astaire. But let's not forget just how fantastic Eleanor Powell was in Broadway Melody of 1936 and 1938. Really, really incredible dancer. She had such incredible talent. Now, the interesting thing with Eleanor Powell is this really was kind of a short and defining period for her, because after Broadway Melody of 1940, she had a gallstone operation, which then stopped her from being in the next film, which allegedly was going to be another Broadway Melody which might have featured Gene Kelly. So that didn't happen, and actually in 1943 she got married to Glenn Ford. And then kind of, although she was in a few other films throughout the 40s, not so much, and later on she became an ordained minister as well. So really she kind of went more into motherhood and then this ministry kind of period, and although she returned later on in her career and did a stint in Vegas, really it's these films from the 30s up till 1942-ish that we should really concentrate on when it comes to Eleanor Powell and her phenomenal dancing. Sadly, she died aged 69 in 1982 from cancer. But yeah, just want to really applaud her for her incredible dancing style in these Broadway Melody movies. They really, really are magnificent to watch. So really, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say at the moment on musicals. I just wanted to really focus on these Broadway Melody ones just for a brief moment, and in particular just to highlight the incredible Eleanor Powell. We really haven't seen any other dancing quite like hers. Now, Damien Chazelle, when it came to doing La La Land, he clearly wanted to pay tribute to some extent to that sequence from Broadway Melody of 1940, using the stars and some reflective flooring. But yeah, nothing can quite match this incredible moment, Begin the Begin, from Broadway Melody of 1940. Okay, that's it for this video. Really, like I say, I just wanted to focus on Broadway Melody movies and Eleanor Powell, but musicals in general I definitely do want to talk about more, so I will try and arrange my thoughts on those and come back with something else later on. Thank you very much for joining me on this. I do hope I will see you again for some more videos. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Okay, all the best to you. Thanks very much. Bye bye.